Hey there, it's Senior Editor Raymond Siegel for Media Cows. I am going to be reviewing X-Men, the arcade game for Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. It's the old school X-Men arcade game brought to your consoles. I'm going to start off with the story. If you remember playing it back in the day in the arcade cabinets and whatnot, it's not very story-driven whatsoever. You're going after Magneto because he's evil, and Magneto ends up stealing the professor, and you have to go save him. That's it. You go from, city to spaceship to asteroid to jungle. None of it really makes a whole lot of sense. They put you in these different locations just to have different locations. It's not really anything coherent, but it's not meant to be. It's just you and a couple of buddies grabbing a couple of controllers and beating up miniature sentinels. Why they're miniature sentinels and why they're working with Magneto, who knows, but that's part of the game. That's really all there is for story. I'm not going to dwell on that. The main draw for the game is gameplay. Yes, you can team up with up to 6 people on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. If you are playing on the PlayStation, you can actually team up with 6 people cooperatively locally, so you can have all 6 of your friends sitting on a couch playing on the same screen. Whereas in the Xbox version, you can have up to 4 people locally, and then you can 6 people online. So that's cool. There's the 6 characters: Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, your whole roster from the originals. But the gameplay itself is disappointing. I know that, me personally, I was looking forward to this game when they announced it because of my fond memories of playing the game back when I was just a kid. But the gameplay hasn't aged well at all. You're moving around with your stick, and then you're pressing one button to attack, a jump, and then your superpower. And that's it. That's basically the entire game. And the weird thing is you're gaining points for no apparent reason other than the fact that you're gaining points. Now, back in the arcade, obviously you'd want to get the high score and have your name up there on the leaderboard, but it doesn't really have a very big presence in this game. And if it'd be something cool if you died, your points went down a little bit, but there's no consequence for dying. You just die and you respawn. You get all your health back, and you can use your superpowers again. And that's another thing, is when you use your superpower, your health goes down until you have 1 or 2 bars left. And then when you get hit that last time, then you die and you come back, power is fully restored. There's no consequence for dying, so you could basically just mash on your superpower button the whole time if you wanted to, get hit, come back to life, and just keep on doing that over and over again. And there's no, coin-operated thing to punish you there. There's really nothing. You can do that for the entire game, from the very first boss all the way to Magneto. Then the enemies aren't varied enough to really make you feel like you're doing anything different. They've got different looks, they might have a different animation, but ultimately they're just trying to punch and kick you while you're trying to punch and kick them, and they can get into some cheap shots. There's no block button for your character, so when they're throwing a punch while you're, in mid-animation or whatever, they're going to hit you, and you're going to go down no matter what you're doing. It just feels kind of cheap, and it feels kind of dated. But the look of the game, they went for the old school look, which is fine. It could have used a little bit more of a touch-up, in my opinion. Other people might feel differently, but that's just me. I think that the backgrounds still look great. The scenery and the environments, all that looks nice, even if it's somewhat out of place in some instances. Whether, I don't know why they went from the tech lab up to, Space Mountain or wherever they went. None of it really makes sense. So as to why they're in these locales. But that's not important. I guess, you know, if it looks pretty, it looks pretty. That's fine. The sound is kind of disappointing too. It's a lot of, I don't know, generic punches and kicks. A lot of the characters, in fact, I think if you listen, every male character that is in the game, when they die, when they get hit, they make the same, like, grunting sounds. The exact same. The women too. If they fall to the ground, they give out the same exact shriek. Like, if you, like, two go down at the same time, you'll hear the same woman's voice. It's kind of grating, to be honest. There are some obvious dialogue problems with the game, whether it's Magneto being master of magnet or broken things like that, and it comes off as kind of funny, but at the same time, you'd think that they could spruce it up a little bit, depending on, you know, whether you want it to retain its original form or not. But the big draw is being able to play the game with your friends over and over and over again. And you could do that. You could replay the game plenty of times. But I beat this game in 20 minutes, like, by myself. And there's just not a whole lot else there. You've played the game through once. You could go back and play as your other characters, but the only difference with those characters are, you know, changes in their animation or the slight variation in their superpower, whether Wolverine is shooting lasers out of his claws or Colossus is doing a little bit of a radial damage. I don't even know. Some of it doesn't even make sense. But there's not a lot to this package. Once you've beaten it, you've beaten it. And unless you and a bunch of your friends are going to be playing it again, there's really not a lot there. We are giving the game a 5 out of 10. It's okay. It's not great. It could use some improvements, maybe a little bit more complexity. It does feel as though it's too simple. Pick this up when it goes on sale for half price. Other than that, if you really want to get the game because you liked it so much in years before, then go ahead.